Ready?
Got it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. I want to welcome you back to the Party Line. I'm your girl, ZZJ.
And I'm Black Beach Barbie.
Yes. And today I am so excited because I have one of my dearest old friends joining us. And her name is Alex Grant.
Hey.
How are you doing today, boo-boo?
Good. That was such a fun introduction. I loved all of that.
I am just so happy that you decided to join us today. And I want everyone to know a little bit about you. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Well, say like within the context of our relationships and how we know each other, I feel like since sandbox times, like being kids in the gym, doing gymnastics and uniting in the Supperfest and the victories that we lived in. All the good and the bad stuff that came with that, including all of the Saturday coaching sessions that we did.
Right? Never ends.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Those are some good times.
Yes,
such good times.
Great time. Great laughs, great stories. So that's where we met. But a little bit about me. So I did gymnastics for 18, 19 years. So started when I was 3 and retired when I was 21 after competing at a national level in Canada, and then went to Iowa State on a scholarship for 4 years. And then following that, I've always worn so many hats, like very entrepreneurial. So I've dabbled in corporate marketing, but I've always been a public speaker. I've always had a foot in the fitness store doing strength and conditioning and yoga teacher training and that kind of thing. Love moving my body.
In other words, ladies and gentlemen, she is a boss bitch. Okay.
All of the above.
All of yes, girl. Yes, you is. So we wanted you to come on the show today. We're going to talk about the journey being the reward. And in the sense of the relationships and people that you meet along your path, along the way, whether it's just acquaintances, friends, family, love, all good, all bad. But I'm more interested in knowing your journey in relation to how it's led you to grow. The good, the growing pains and the growing, accomplishments. So yeah, that's what we want to talk about today. And we want to dive deep into that.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is juicy. I love humans.
Right?
And oh man, humans and emotions are my jam. So let's go.
And it's crazy because like when I think about a journey, I think of The Alchemist, which is why it's one of my favorite books.
Love that book.
I just reread it a few months ago.
Oh, and I feel like a good book to like read over and over again. Yeah, you get something different out of it every single time you read it.
And it's so different when you think about all your different perspectives and the different lenses we end up having as we get older with age, right? And I will never forget my experiences traveling in London and kind of going on my own journey for the first time, and all the people that I met along the way just kind of gave me a little something. Whether it be confidence, joy, love in just a moment of time. But those are things that I will never forget. And they've always kind of stuck with me and kind of has a color of my personality just on me, that it will never go away.
That was a very transformative time for you, right? When you decided to go there. I remember that. Yeah, that trip taught you a lot. And you guys did so much traveling together after that.
Yeah,
we did. Yeah, because your London journey started with me deciding that I was just going to quit my job, go backpacking, and leave for 3 months. So Z and I did 1 month in Europe together. Yeah. And then I continued on my own and did a whole South Asia tour on my own. And that was like so much learning, so much growing. Everybody thought I was going through a midlife crisis, even though I was only like 25, super young. But like, here I am, this like small girl saying, hey, I'm just going to go backpacking by myself. Yeah. Everyone's like, why? What happened?
Gotta go find yourself.
What's going on?
You gotta go find yourself. So you gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah. I love this because we've all eat, pray, loved ourselves in whatever way worked for us. And it's so transformational. And definitely I've also had people look at me like, are you crazy? What's your plan? And it's like, there's no plan. Like, I don't have one. So,
So can I read something to you that I read on your
yeah.
Instagram?
Okay.
And it kind of really ignited me wanting you to share your story today.
Whew,
So
okay.
I know you're like, oh
Oh my
God, I'm
God.
so sorry. What do you like? What is she?
Pour my heart and soul on my Instagram when you were
It's a beautiful post, beautiful post.
Okay,
but so it reads,
Oh.
at this time in 2018, I had hit rock bottom but I was about to, and I didn't even know it. My long-term relationship ended. I walked away from a fitness community I was building. I let go of my full-time work and some of my people in it because everything was intertwined. Anything that had once made sense didn't anymore. Any plans I thought I had were no longer happening. At this point, I didn't know which way was up. Since then, I have transformed inside out.
Love that.
Like, girl, you are so, you just give me so much feels, but I want to know about all of that, man. Like, that it was a lot of stuff to just be like,
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to get from, like, I could get even emotional talking about it. To get from there to here, it took accepting really hard truths about myself. There are times where even when I was around people, I felt the most lonely.
Yeah.
I'm talking about extended periods of time where I had zero answers and I didn't know who I was anymore. I had lost a part of my identity and I didn't know who I was becoming yet. And it felt like this in-between land of just not knowing. And so it was quite the journey. I don't even, how do I even kick that one off?
So where did that start? So when you felt like you lost yourself, was that when you, like, that kind of sparking of your retiring, like when you retired from gymnastics, was that kind of the beginning of this phase of, the unknown?
I mean, we're always kind of in a little bit of unknown as we're like unfolding as life goes, I think. But for me, it was after my breakup. That was my awakening. That was my rock bottom moment where, so when I say, and in that post that you read, Z, it's like when everything was intertwined, I felt like my entire life was enmeshed. My relationship, my work, the relationships with people that I had, of the people that I was working with, like everything was associated with my relationship and my relationship was associated with everything else. There wasn't anything separate.
Yeah.
And within my relational dynamic, both of us were former athletes. So on top of everything else that was already enmeshed, when we broke up, I grieved the last bit of my gymnastics career that I hadn't grieved yet. Because we were together since college. So I was with someone who I was always able to share and reminisce with. And yeah, like we were there through so many of the ups and downs together. So not only was it in my current life, my current work, and all of the relationships that I had through that, but also relationships of the past. Everyone who knew me for the bulk of my life, because we dated for just under 10 years, through very formative years, 10 years, pretty much almost
in those
20.
crucial years,
the whole 20s.
Years. So many people associated with us being together. And so when the relationship ended, a part of me died with it.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it was this rock bottom moment of me waking up and asking myself, who do I want to become? And yeah, like I said, it was, partially accepting really hard truths about myself and what my role was within the relationship that I had. And then the other part of that was being willing to lean into the unknown and into the risk so I could learn and have mirrors. And the traveling was so important because I was, it's like when you travel, you get to see different parts of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
New.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
And no one knows you. No one knows
No.
where you came from.
You
No one
could
knows
be
your backstory.
anybody you want to be. Yeah, you can reflect that one color of yourself that you haven't really shown much. It's like, you know what? I'm going to be that sassy, passionate red girl today.
Yeah.
And you can go out there and flaunt it, you know?
Exactly.
And that's what I feel like traveling is so important. It puts you in a state of curiosity and discovery. And it's a different kind of openness that you don't have on your home ground, your home turf, because everyone knows you. Like, you're going around a corner, you're going here and there, and you're like, who am I going to bump into today?
Yeah.
Right, being on your home,
Yes.
your home turf. But when you're out traveling, you're just like, oh, who am I going to meet today? You're more hopeful.
It's like a
and
fresh
right,
start. You don't know what the
Beautiful.
day
Yeah.
is going to bring, and it's
you're
like,
optimistic.
Yeah.
You're like a kid again.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, the
Yeah.
possibilities are endless. Let me try something. Let me try new food. Let me ride a bike again, or let me do like a tricycle, or, you know, one of those, what do you call those? The one ones?
a
unicycle?
A unicycle.
Really?
A unicycle. I'm like the
I
one
don't know if I went away.
I'm like the
wanted a unicycle.
I was just trying to throw something like so far out. But yeah, it definitely allows you to be open in a different way.
It does. And I didn't start with all of that curiosity and willingness to discover because I was deeply depressed for months.
Right.
So in the beginning of my journey, once the breakup happened, I had a job in LA that I was doing. It was a big event. And my mentor was like, hey, you know, I'm doing this job in LA. And I'm like, can you get me on it? Can you get me on it? We end up working it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, LA for the week, amazing. And then I was like, maybe at this point, things will kind of figure itself out, and then we'll be back together again. Because that was kind of our dynamic. It was a bit yo-yo-y.
Right.
And then after LA happened, I was in Arizona briefly with my family. And then once that happened, and shit even hadn't hit the fan entirely yet, but I was like, I can't go home. And so I went to Las Vegas, and I spent the first, everyone's like, ooh, Las Vegas. And I was like out of commission. Like,
oh no.
Oh man, it was, you know, it was 3 of probably the toughest months of my life, but I am so grateful that I was not around anything familiar. And I was living with someone, one of my old teammates from school, and she was so amazing. She didn't try and fix my emotions. She didn't try and make me not sad. She would just listen to me talk, and she'd ask me questions.
That's so
and so she works for an alcohol company.
Yeah. Boozing.
So I would go out, and what was so awesome is, like, in Las Vegas, you can be anyone you want. It's like, I want to be a stripper, and they're like, cool, go down the street. And you're like, I want to be a tarot card reader, and they're like, yeah, cool, right over there. It's like, you can do whatever you want. And so that's where I really had an opportunity to be who I wanted to be with no one who knew me before. And it was amazing. So when we would go out, I would end up not drinking because I was already so deeply depressed. And I was like, I can't make this worse.
Yeah. Last thing you need.
You're like, oh God, bad combination.
Oh God, like, it can't get worse. So I'm not going to go ahead and try and make it worse, you know? So I would drink sparkling water. And so it would always look like I was drinking. And of course, everyone around me was drinking. And so what would happen is I just get into these life conversations with people, and I would hear about their stories. Wow. And so then I had this collection of stories of other people who had been divorced, people walking in on their fiance. One guy was with someone for 8 years, was in a new relationship, told the new girl that he loved her, but he's like, it's not true. I don't think I love her. He's like, I'm still in love with my ex.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Like, I mean, it was just incredible how many stories I was hearing. And I was like, oh, like, I'll be all right.
You all of a sudden didn't feel alone. You're like, like, that's fucked up. You fucked up.
Yeah.
So we're all fucked up.
We're all
a little bit fucked up.
We're having.
No
we
one
go
has
through
it
it.
figured out.
Yeah.
No one's got the answers. So it was
so
cool.
it's like going through something where your world is surrounded by the presence of this man, right? The remnants of the two of you. It's like, what gave you the motivation to be like, you know what, I need to pick myself up, and I have to move on. Like, I have to start figuring this stuff out.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a couple parts to that. So first of all, I didn't feel like I had a choice. When we ended, he moved on very quickly.
Oh, wow.
So I actually, you know, and any hope that I had, he was blowing up social media with somebody else. I felt so humiliated. Yeah, it was really rough. So
that's just so disrespectful though too.
It felt really disrespectful.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, you could say, well, what am I supposed to do? You know, I'm just imagining like what his
and I get both sides of it, but it's just like there should always be a grace period, just out of mere like just respect, you know, respect of the other person that you've shared 10 years with.
Absolutely.
You know,
but here's the thing. I was expecting this kind of behavior from someone who never showed me any respect. And this was part of me taking him off the pedestal and me realizing, and that whole taking down off the pedestal was another part of me pulling up my bootstraps and being like, I gotta level up here.
Yeah.
If I can't expect a decent conversation and for someone to be able to hold space when I'm calling because I'm really like devastated because of, you know, a 9-year relationship just ended.
Right.
Then like, where's my sense of self-worth? How did I let this go on for that long? So that's where taking personal accountability for me, and understanding how and why I attracted the person that I did, that really got me motivated, and being able to see the light of like, I am worthy of so much more. How do I get there?
Yeah. Gosh, do you ever like look back and think, you know, was there a point in the relationship in hindsight where you're like, okay, you know what, this probably should have ended a lot sooner? Like, how much extra time did you give this relationship?
That's tough.
You know, because you guys were together for 9 years, but it, you know, it ended, and obviously a 9-year relationship doesn't end abruptly.
Right.
Do you feel like you gave it a lot more time than was warranted, you know, in hindsight, looking back?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely moments in the, you know, through the relationship that I tried to end it. And I would always get promises of changed behavior or that something was going to change. And then it would change for the short term, and it would give me just enough hope to hold on until the next thing would happen again. And it was this constant devaluation of my confidence, where it really wrapped me up into being codependent, where I was depending on him to value me, to show me that I'm worthy of being loved by him. And it was a really deep hole to get out of, really, really deep hole. Like, and this is the other thing I want to say with that is like, if you're not done, like, until we learn from it, it continues to teach us.
Yeah.
So
it continues to smack you around a little bit, just being like, you didn't learn your lesson again? Okay, let me get something else.
Yeah.
Did you learn your lesson again? No. I'm gonna keep going.
Whether 100%. So whether you're learning the lesson over and over again from the same person, or you're getting the same type of person that you're continually attracting, it's going to continue to teach you the same lesson until you're like, why am I continuing to get this? And what am I doing that's attracting it? So, I think, you know, with all of that, would I regret, or do I regret the years that I spent? Quite frankly, I was doing the very best that I could in a situation that was very manipulative, and I was at a very low place with my worth. If I had gone back, of course, you know, knowing what I know now, I mean, I would have like, I'm not doing this, but I wasn't in that place. I needed to learn the lesson to get myself to the place that I'm at today. So if anyone listening, or I'm sure you guys have had like experiences where it's like, when you're not done with someone, no one can
tell you a goddamn thing.
I think
like, I'm gonna ride this roller coaster. I might get a bloody nose in the meantime. I might even throw up. But no, I need to run that roller coaster again. Get away from me.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Everyone has learned that lesson. Like, it is not over until you are willing to let it go.
Right.
And then comes the shame, right? Where it's like, oh God, I can't talk about the relationship because my friends don't like this person, so they're shame. But then you're like, and then like, how stressful is it when your friends don't like your partner?
Yeah.
It's like you're having an affair with the guy that you're with everybody else, because nobody likes them. Everybody knows he's all wrong. So it's almost like, where are you going? Oh, I got this thing to do.
Yeah, right.
So you creeping in the freaking shadows with your man, with your own man. You know he's wrong.
Oh my God,
know he's wrong.
In the shadows, 100%. That's said
right?
so beautifully.
Yeah.
So beautifully. Yeah. And like the shame comes in, and then it's like, then the island starts where you're like, well, I'm not going to share so much with you, and I'm not going to say that I am or I'm not with someone. You start isolating. And that's it can be a very dangerous place to be, because that means you're getting closer to getting reeled in when, you know, our friends and their closest relationships to us, even though they may tell us things that we don't want to hear, they're people that have been standing in your life can be a very grounding force, because they know you. They've known you for so long. And you're like, oh, I'm just not ready to hear that. So I'm just going to like
push that.
Isn't that so messed up that we do that? We know the answers that's within us, you know, and we hold on to it, but it's just like, we'd rather lie to ourselves and just enjoy the pain a little bit longer. And it's just so weird, because it's like, you know, this person's all wrong for you, but no, I just want to feel their kiss one more time. I just want to be snuggled because they know how to snug me. I don't want to have to start all over and teach another guy how to snuggle me and then how to kiss me and how to do all this stuff. So you endure the abuse that you're now doing to yourself because you're not ready to let go of it.
Totally. And that's what I mean by taking responsibility for your role in it, because it does take two. And usually when there is someone who is being emotionally or psychologically abusive, it's like, well, a lot of the times people want to blame. Well, he did this and he did it, right? Or my partner. And it's like, well, who's enabling here? Because you need an enabler to partner with the person.
You gotta feed that. You gotta feed it.
To spin.
So I need to ask you, who are the people that helped you kind of rid those chains that you had for yourself? So like, whether it be a specific friend along the way or a specific conversation you had that made you, holy crap, I gotta go left. Like, who were those people to you and what did they do for you?
It didn't change overnight. It was a slow process of people telling me over and over and over again the same things until I started to believe them. So it came from a lot of people, but I wouldn't say a lot of people, because when I first went through the breakup, I didn't tell many people about it. Again, with the shame, there were so many. I was like, I'm only going to tell anyone who needs to know. So my teammate in Las Vegas was there for me through the thick of it. So she was really great. When I was in Las Vegas, I went to go see a healer. He was a medium and a Reiki master. And he was just so grounding. He was like, you just deserve more. And he would say what he could see from me. He's like, you're so loving and you're so nurturing. And I can see you with someone who's just going to love that about you as you are, without you having to change anything. So there was him. And then I would say one of my best friends, Mel, Mel is so good at playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, she is. So and her delivery, but it's even her delivery and how she does it. It's like, you're not taking sides. You're actually just being like, very direct in your message.
She was one of the people who asked me, where I'd be like, well, why didn't he do this? And then she would be like, well, based on his previous behavior, do you think that he's capable of making a different choice? And I was like,
wow.
Like,
I mean, can you ask me that question again?
Exactly. That's the thing though. I was like, hey, wait, I'm like, we need to go through this again. And that's the beauty of it, right? Like, for me, that's really the epitome of healing, is changing the story and doing it over. And it's like a rep count. Do it over and over and over again. Keep grieving the illusion, take the person off the pedestal, write the new story. That's the truth. The truth about you, the truth about your characteristics. And you can get that through the people who can see you when you can't see yourself. So these are the long-standing relationships that I'm talking about that we usually avoid once the toxic person is in our life. We're like, oh God, can't look at my moral compass.
Right. Something gonna steer me in the wrong direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God. That, I don't know. That's some heavy stuff, because it's like a very dark place to be in. And I feel like a lot of people do need to hear this. Like I could say that I have some friends, you know, even currently, that are in situations that they feel stuck too.
Yeah.
And it could be out of their own personal comfort, right? And other connective scenarios, like it being a part of other friends or even work, like for you, where everything is so intertwined. So like thinking about what were some of the outlets that you had to look towards, because now I feel like you're such a grounded person, you're such a spiritual person, that like what were some of the things that helped like you climb that ladder and get out of that hole? Other than these people constantly talking to, what are some of the work that you did for yourself?
Yeah, great question. And I think it's obviously going to look different for everybody, but I'll share what I learned from each of the biggest transformational points. So I'd say Las Vegas helped me redefine who I was and allowed me the space to become who I wanted to become, because I didn't know anybody there. Then I went to Thailand. No, sorry. Before that, I was in California, and I was with 3 of my best guy friends from university. And like, I don't know. I mean, like, I know you guys have beautiful men in your life who can just hold space for you and just oh my God, it's such a delicious place to be.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I like the way you just speak. Girl, I can tell how delicious that is. Damn. Can I get a taste?
They just held it down for me. Like they just held it down, and they would give it to me matter of fact. And they were also former football players. And so they knew, like they just knew the games, right?
Yeah, the behaviors. Yeah.
And I'm just going to give it to you straight. And and they just told me, and I was kind of like, oh. And then after they would like give me the hard news, they'd be like, but, you know, and like, here's how you can, like, let's get your game back. And, you know, I used to have like swagger sessions with one of my friends being like, I need to like step into my like I need to like play the game.
I need to get my bad bitchness back. Yeah.
100%. And he's like, boo, don't worry, I got you. Like I played the field so many times, and I was like, all right, like, what do you know? So that was really fun. And then I went to Thailand, and the first 2 weeks I spent in Thailand, my sister came out and met me. And that was the beginning of us finding our relationship again.
Oh, that's so great.
So good. Yeah. And the perfect place. Thailand is like so magical.
I mean, I have yet to go.
Yeah, so healing.
Oh,
yeah. Love it.
You gotta add that on your list. It's like
it's on my list.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who can get there needs to go to Thailand. It'll change your life.
Yeah, and I mean, any travel that puts you outside of your comfort zone. Me and my sister chose Thailand because we both have an affinity for elephants, and so we went to the elephant sanctuaries. And,
nice.
Yeah, and like it's just healing to be around animals, right? Especially these like big, huge, grandiose animals.
Yeah.
And they're like just the most gentle souls and so intelligent. And
Thailand.
Oh my God, love. I mean, it's just heavenly over there. And then after that, I went to the south of Thailand, where I did strength and conditioning. So I got back to my roots. That's a big thing. Go back to the roots and back to the things that matter. I tell anyone who's starting over, go back to the basics. Drink a lot of water, rest. And drink one thing a day that makes you feel good. Drink water, rest, and one thing a day that makes you feel good. That could be sleeping in, that could be moving your body, taking a bath, cooking your favorite meal, one thing, because your energy is shot. So if you can manage one thing that makes you feel good, that gives you a little bit of life back in there, you're good. So, and just doing that consistently. So, so I went back to my roots, did strength and conditioning, and it was so healing for me to be back around a fitness community and like-minded people. Like, you know, it's like being on a gymnastics team where everyone's just on the same mission. Kind of resembled that in some ways. So that was really nice for me. And then following that, I did a silent meditation retreat at a Buddhist monastery.
Okay, girl, you fancy, okay.
So tell me about this.
I like slept on like a wooden plank and a straw mat. Like it was, very humbling and very simple. We meditated for about 8 or 9 hours a day. You eat 2 meals a day. You fast the rest of the day, and it's all about going inward. And from talking about I talked about my relationship so much. I anyone who was willing to listen just about, I was like, oh my God, somebody get me out of feeling like this.
Yeah.
And what I learned when I went into silence is that I have all of the answers that I need. I just have to be patient and give them the space to come in. I wasn't giving myself any space. There was so much catastrophizing going on in my head that once I got silent for 7 days and had to meditate and sit with all my stuff, I had this moment of like, I'm going to be okay. Like I'm resourceful. I have incredible friends. I have incredible family. I'm willing to take risks and I'm willing to take a chance on myself.
Yeah. And let's not forget how hot you are and how gorgeous.
Yes.
Like,
Hello.
girl. I mean, if we want to call that a bonus, give me 20 points.
Oh my God.
Just saying. But you know what? A lot of people kind of look down on, you know, like meditation, like it's a yogi thing, like you're so spiritual. You guys are like tree huggers. But no, it's a necessity. We are animals. We are one with Mother Nature. We are all connected, even to the trees, to the earth. And I feel like once we all silence, we need to silence our minds sometimes. And that is where you find answers, you know? So for people who may not be so into yoga, I say, before you shut it down, why don't you try it just once?
Totally.
You know, because we need that time.
I run a mindfulness group. And like in my life, did I ever expect myself to be doing any kind of mindfulness and meditation? Like absolutely not. But once I started doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is where all the answers are. And I started doing tantra training, like all the spicy stuff and like the enticing stuff.
Yeah.
And the root of it is being mindful, presence. And presence embodies like that yummy divine masculine energy that as women we love, right?
We do.
Love when a man is
love it. Yes, we do.
So imagine giving that to yourself.
Like
being present for yourself, being present for all the emotions that come in. And you know, as I'm working on calling in a divine relationship and you know, a very conscious relationship, I'm getting closer to that. Because I'm able to embody it within myself and I know what it looks like and I know what it feels like.
Well, it's once you're feeling it, your vibrations are now sending it out as well, right?
Yeah.
So you're attracting that energy as long as you stay on that wavelength of feeling good and sharing that vibe. Like, you know, when people meet you, they're like, oh, that's a vibe.
Yeah.
It's like, I give off a vibe.
You are what you attract, right? So if you're feeling good about yourself and positive and you have that energy and you're just like, yes, I am hot shit. Right? You will attract that, you know? Like, it's just, you have to put yourself in that space to be able to actually receive that.
Yes.
Because technically nobody else can give that to you. You've got to give it to yourself. And if you don't believe that in yourself, you're not even going to be able to receive it if somebody else was trying to give it to you.
It's going to translate no matter what.
Yeah.
We can't lie to ourselves no more.
Yeah.
100%. You know, the glow up is real when people start telling you like, what are you doing? Your skin looks really good. Or like,
right?
You look like you're glowing, and you're like, I know, because it's
right.
And
I didn't have sex to get it.
Exactly. This is self-generated glow, by the way.
Right.
It's like, I just want to live there. Help me live in that space.
Yeah, totally. I know the practice of finding the flow state. That's a humbling experience within itself.
So you now finding your balance and finding your center has led you into the work that you do. Am I right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was doing that work before. So here's the crazy thing is that throughout my 20s, I was studying emotional intelligence. Like, I've always been fascinated with human behavior and the mind and artful conversations, things like that. But the thing is, I wasn't embodying any of it. So I had this like background of knowledge, and this hit me after my breakup, where I was like, I know all this stuff, and I was like, oh, but I wasn't doing anything.
It's crazy.
Practice what you preach.
Knowledge. So I was also working with athletes on identifying who they are beyond what they do. So that was kind of my public speaking realm, and then also helping kids believe and instill resilience in themselves through the adversities of life. So I've been doing all of that stuff, and it's like, the dots don't connect when when we're looking forward, but they do when you look back.
Yeah.
So I think now that I'm at the place that I'm in, it's like I have experience doing all of the things, but now I have the life experience, and I've enriched the skills through taking courses, through educating myself on what actually matters to me. And that's also come from distilling my own process and what's helped me get through, so I can help other people get through. Like, what are like the roots of healing after a breakup and experiencing an awakening or hitting a rock bottom moment, and then being able to get yourself back up to become the person that you want to be. So it definitely launched me into the work that I'm doing now.
And that's amazing. And I feel like a lot of people find that they need to deal with these things all on their own, and they need to figure it out for themselves. And it's like, no, like you need that support system in order to dive deep. It's like, how am I going to tell myself about myself? I can't do that. And no matter what, I'm going to need an outside opinion regardless, because I could only know what I am about myself from within,
Totally.
So it's almost like, oh, I didn't know that I was projecting that kind of energy. I didn't know that the way that I was speaking to you was in that kind of way. I didn't know that it hit you like that, so I just love everything that you do.
Oh, thank you.
I really do.
Okay, what I loved about what you just said, though, and this is why I love and like I can get really annoyed with humans real quick, but one of the things that I enjoy so much about this process is that now I'm aware that people around us are mirrors, and they're usually, general statement here, but they're usually there to teach us, or they're there to test us. And so your subconscious mind, which we mostly operate by, right? Like our subconscious mind is kind of in the driver's seat, and we just think that it's not. So our subconscious mind is going to put us in situations for us to do healing, because it wants us to do something different in the spaces that have caused pain or wounding in the past. And so when people come into our life that hurt us, like it took me 9 years to learn the lesson of self-love and self-worth, and I'm still going, Now it's just a little bit more clear. And so people come into our life, and it's like, okay, you're triggering a wound in me, or this is really hurting me. What is this reminding me of? And where do I need to go back into my process to either reparent myself, or talk to the person who didn't stand up for me when I wish they would have, or to replay through a meditation what that scenario would have looked like that would have provided healing for me. And then moving forward, holding the vision of your worth. Is this person who's testing you right now, are they, like, say it's in a partner or relationship, it's like, is this person the person who's calling you to step into your highest self? Or is it going to be them? Or is this person just testing you so that you have the opportunity to step into that form of your highest self? But you can just say, thank you so much for this lesson, and now I'm moving on.
I'm out. And I got suckered in. I got suckered in too many times. I got suckered in last week.
Last week.
Okay, maybe like 3 weeks ago.
No, but it's always hard to like identify who that person is, whether they are A or B. Are they going to be the one to help you, or are
break your heart again and just
repeat lesson that you missed and you needed to learn one more time?
Okay, so here's the thing. So the test person is going to be the person that you may feel comfortable with, but resembles your own patterns. They have common traits of the old sticky stuff, and you might have a great connection with them, and that's fine, but they have some of that stuff that you used to, or your old self would have, so those are the tests. And then there's expanders. So there's people that come into your life, and they might come in only for a short period of time or a long period of time, but they're there to show you what you could have. They might sprinkle a little angel dust on a really nice date and wine and dine you, and then it's kind of like, oh, like this is what that feels like. And that might be it. And it's your job to keep following, okay, well, what allowed me to attract that person? And like over time, the other stuff kind of starts to weed itself out. But if you start looking at people as tests or as expanders, or like, what are you here to show me? For me, it's made it a lot easier to say, wow, thanks so much for that lesson. Super grateful for that. And now I'm moving on. holding on to
dwelling,
anything.
not, no expectation, just being in the moment with that person and just receiving whatever they're giving. And vice versa.
100%.
It's really hard though, because like sometimes you're just like, oh, can I just keep you a little bit longer? You're like, no, girl, you gotta let it go. Let it go.
And this is the thing when it comes with the spiritual growth is like, I feel like I'm constantly grieving. Like I'm grieving the losses of people that I had these connections with or could have turned into something but never did. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like it would have been so good. But at the end of the day, I'm like, this is not the relationship that my highest self wants.
Right.
Because I would know that feeling. So like I can still love this person, but just in a different way than I had initially expected. I'm constantly managing expectations and grieving losses. And I feel like no one talks about that part.
No, no, not at all.
So true.
And it's okay to just have an appreciation for someone and that be all it is. And that's all they're there for, you know? And I think through my experiences, the hardest thing is being able to identify that flag, because it's red and it does wave itself. And sometimes it claps at you and it's like, bitch, you still ain't getting it. I'm right here, you know? And for you, I think that's the hardest part, is just like, okay, why are you waving at me? Stop waving at me. It's not the time, but it is like to not ignore those signs. And it's like, if you walk away from a situation being like, oh, I don't know, maybe it was a bad day for them. No, that is the gut. That is the gut giving you, that's a flag, you know?
When the justifications start to come in.
Right? If you ever have to make an excuse for someone or justify exactly like you said, that's a flag. I'm sorry, it is.
Yeah, it is. And then sometimes you got those rose-colored, you got the rose-colored sunglasses on. You're like, that's not a red flag. That's a pink one. It's
That's what I say all the time. I literally say that all the time. That was a pink flag.
Take off the rose-tinted glasses.
Like, you can put that back down.
It's like, are you colorblind? Are you?
It's like, you know, I'm red. I'm not pink.
No, not at all.
Let me just take one more sip and you'll go away. So I need to know, overall, through your journey, what was the one message or lesson that you could take away from that?
Oh,
I know there's so many.
So many answers.
That is a very loaded question, but you can tell us. Okay, you can tell us more than one.
Okay, wait. Can you ask it one more time? I feel like I just need to like.
So the one lesson, I guess, what you learned the most that stuck to your heart the most from this entire journey.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, good.
Your body knows the truth.
This is true.
It's true. That's so true.
Isn't it?
Like, I'm thinking about that. It's like your body has a reaction to any sort of situation. You just feel it. You feel it in your gut. You feel it in, you know, like cringy, you know, maybe not a full cringe, but you just kind of feel like, oh, I don't know. Yeah.
I always say we speak more physically than we do verbally.
Yeah.
So much. And I always tell this to people, because I will sit and I will watch someone and I'd be like, are you sure you don't want to take back what you said? Yeah. Or, you know, like because it's like your body's telling me something different, you know? Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
We're not taught. This is another thing I talk about in my mindfulness course, is making the mind to body connection. Because for me, it's like, notice it in the mind, connect to it in the body, talk to the soul. Like,
wow.
They're all connected. You have to do all three. And if we're first of all, humans are master disassociators. It's like, oh, this doesn't feel good, exit. Like, I'm just going to disassociate, or I'm going to pretend that this is something else that it's not actually. And building that relationship back with your body it's like this incredible intelligent navigation system that most of the world is not tapping into.
Right.
Because the body knows. Women intuition, we know.
We do.
Honestly, I think that's like such a big thing for me, because if I'm not saying it, it is like a perfect message written across my face. Like, I can't hide what, like, it's so bad. Like I could be completely silent and you will know like exactly what I'm saying on my face. It's so embarrassing sometimes.
I have to do one of these like across the room being like,
and be like, what?
You
know, and I'm just like, yeah, it's like, girl.
She's like, she don't even need telepathy. She got her face.
Oh man, it's so bad. Like it is so bad. I'm super expressive in my face. So like when you say,
honestly, I
trust
love
your
that.
body, it's true.
Yeah, totally. But also like if it's written on your face, it's like, well, I'm just always going to know where you stand. So it's like, you know, like that, got it. We can talk about that maybe when you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
Taking the notes, you know? Yeah, totally. The body and its like, I mean, our bodies are just, they're just so intelligent, and we hardly give them the opportunity to be able to give them a seat, or give it a seat at the table when it comes to making decisions about what's important for our lives and the way that we want to be living it and who we want to be living it with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just to go over everything for all of our listeners, just so you guys can, if you feel like you need some advice or some guidance on how to get out of a situation and grow from it, first things first, think about traveling. I know it's tough right now, but when things open up, have a list ready. Have like a list of things that you might want to do. Go back to the basics, like Alex said. Do something once a day that's going to make you feel good about yourself. Whether it's cooking yourself a meal, whether it's listening to your favorite song, or watching an old school movie. I know some of those things kind of help me and lift up my spirits at times. So do something like that. And before you frown upon this, try some meditation. Doesn't mean you're a yogi, okay? You can still just meditate, silence the mind, and some of those answers will come. And most of all, listen to your body. Your body knows best.
Well said. And for those who don't meditate, because I am guilty, I'm not a meditator. However, I take very long showers, and that is like my moment of silence and being alone in my thoughts. So if you need to take a long shower, you know, connect with the water, sing out loud, you know, you're just there with yourself. Rack up that hydro bill if you need to, okay?
I'll help you.
Just like whatever it takes. That, you know, there's so many different forms of meditation. So whatever, you know, brings you that moment of zen and silence, go with that. That is meditation, guys.
Now, before we completely close out, Alex, I want everyone to know where they can find you and what are some of the services that you offer for people.
Yeah, so I hang out on Instagram the most, which is at alexgrant.xo. And currently I'm running a mindfulness course, which is all about using music and your body and food and everything as a portal to go inward. And so you get to try out what's going to help you get a little bit closer to yourself, and you walk away with a bunch of tools. I also do one-on-one coaching, and you can find, or you can sign up for that at my website, www.alexgrant.ca. And then coming up, I don't know, I'm gauging whether people would be interested in doing a breakup and breakthroughs course. So
I think that would be good. Honestly, during this time, you know, sorry to say, like, it's COVID. A lot of people are going through breakups, and, you know, you have a lot more time to think about the relationships you're in. So I think that would be a great idea. A lot of people will probably benefit from that, 100%.
Yeah, so we'll see where we go.
Well, my girl, that is all the time we have for today. And I want to thank you so much, Alex, for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
I love you guys.
All right, love you too. And that's all we got for today on the Party Line. See you guys next Sunday.
Bye.
Hit it. Give me a little dance, girl.
Yeah.